Everyone, welcome to All About Energy Life. Today, I am joined by Tracie Mahan. You may already know her. She's been on the channel before. She is a wonderful channel, Arcturian channel, and a level 3 QHHT practitioner. Welcome, Tracie.
Thank you. It's good to be here again. Let's shake it up.
Today, we have a really fun topic for you guys on how to prepare for a QHHT session. I think that's a fun topic, right, Tracie?
Absolutely. And one that I think is very necessary because a QHHT session is not just an investment of time because they are long sessions, but you're investing in your future, you're investing in a lot of things here. And so we want you to be prepared in the best way you can be when you come into a session, you to have some ideas of what to expect when you get in there.
Yeah. So Tracie and I were talking and we thought this might be a great idea to put a video together on you maximizing your session as and also managing your expectations as well. So yeah, let's get started. I mean, first thing is let's start from the very, very beginning when someone's thinking about QHHT.
What I would encourage people to do is to really look into Dolores Cannon and the work. There are many sessions out there on YouTube that have been posted that people could watch and kind of get an idea of what it looks like. But here's the illusion, right? We're laying there. I've had sessions done. You've had sessions done. We're laying there with our eyes closed and we're answering all these questions. I don't want people to have the illusion that they're not aware of what's being said back and forth. And that seems to be a big one that I would say people come in and they think they're going to knock out and then come back and we're going to tell them what happened. And so when you're looking at getting a session, understanding what is hypnosis, it's a deeper state of mind. You're going into a more relaxed place so that you can easily access that other part, that higher self. And your critical mind, the one that wants to get in there and say, I don't trust this, I don't believe this. Is that me? Am I making that up? That voice, we want that to go sit on a couch in the other room and just let this other part of you come in. So when you're looking at, do I want to have a session? Keep in mind that hypnosis might look a little different than what you see on TV, what you experience watching. There's a lot of elements of a regression that are not put in the videos that are put on YouTube. So you're only seeing them once they're in that regress state, but there's a lot of allowing going into it, right? What would you say to that kind of stuff?
I 100% agree with you, Tracie. One thing is definite, I explain to my clients, like, I haven't given you anesthesia. Like, you're not going to knock out. Like, granted, there are some clients that completely go under and then they come back to us. And I'm sure you've had them as well. They're like, oh, did I go under? And I'm like, wait a minute, we just spoke for a couple hours. They do happen. Okay.
They do happen, but they're very, very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah.
And majority of it is people are aware of what's going on and they're completely aware of the back and forth. And the part where it's like it's not going to be a possession, so to speak, of a completely different energy than yourself, because it's your higher self. It's you.
Yeah, it's you. So yeah, and my biggest thing to tell people is go with that first thought. That's one of our tips. Go with the very first thought that comes into the mind. And I think a lot of times I'll have clients that come in and they think they're going to see something with that physical eye when they close their eyes. And I say, can you visualize this? We start off with see a red bird. That's one of the first things we say. And when they're closing their eyes, I think they're expecting they're going to see it with that physical eye. So my other tip for people is it's your imagination. Imagine what a red bird would look like. Imagine what a red apple, that one of the exercises I do with people, and we can all do this right now. I want you, Saba, close your eyes.
I'm closing it.
Imagine you just picked an apple out of the tree. And sorry, I needed to mute that. You just picked an apple out of the tree. What does that apple look like?
Oh, wow. The apple is really red. I mean, it looks crispy and I haven't even bitten into it. It looks nice and you could just tell it's not going to be soft. It's just going to be bright, perfect. And I can't wait to take a bite into this apple.
Okay, now I want you to look at the tree you just picked it from. And whereabout did you pick that out of the tree?
I picked it up on the lower branch, not the higher branch. That way I could reach it because I'm like only 5'2".
Okay, and if you were to step back and just look around you, what does it look like? What is the surroundings?
Okay. So to the left of me, there's like a mountainous area. To the right of me, there's nothing but trees. And on the horizon, I can see an open valley.
Beautiful. And then take in a nice deep breath. What's that like?
Wow. It's a very nice, perfect day.
Now take a bite of that apple.
Wow. It's not too tart. It's just right.
Yeah. And that created a full experience for you, right? And so, and she's very aware of everything I'm saying to her and everything she's saying back to me. She's very aware of that, but she's allowing for her imagination to just play with her in that arena that we're in. And we didn't even go into a regression. We didn't do any deepeners to get her into a hypnotic state. That's how close we are to this higher self, to this veil is like so thin now that we don't even have to really go deep, deep, deep. And so now imagine you just lay down on the bed or the whatever your practitioner has for you to go into this hypnotic state, and imagine that now you're going even deeper. Relax. These pieces of information are even heightened in that. And I say to people, sometimes you know, you think you're going to knock out and come back, but you're going to be very aware of what I'm saying and what you're saying. In fact, you may even be hyper aware of it because you're so in the experience of allowing this information to come in, allowing the past life to come in, allowing for the SC to come in and answer the questions. And those questions are you're gonna want to answer them quickly. And I know that gets it's kind of an individual thing. Not everybody's going to answer quickly, but the more you sit on the question, the longer or the more chance there is for that critical mind to get in there and start questioning what the answer really was. So again, like if somebody's coming in and they say, what's my life purpose? That's one of the questions I want to ask today. And then we get them in the regression, we get to that higher self and we say, okay, Saba would like to know what her higher purpose is today. What would you like for her to know about that? And then there's this big pause because Saba's waiting for that possession, as you say, something to come in and take over her body and bring in this answer. But really, if she would have just started speaking about it and letting those thoughts flow, that would have been her answer. But now she's waited, and now that critical mind's sneaking in and going, oh, Tracie's waiting for an answer. I got to say something. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not a bad thing because you're going to say something because you feel the pressure of Tracie staring at you, right? You're going to end up saying something. And it does get you there because you feel like you got to create something to say back to that question. Well, it's in that where you're getting into your imagination now. You're letting that creative flow come in because you feel the pressure of, I got to answer that question. Nothing's coming in. I'm going to just throw an answer out there. But if you could just relax and I'm going to ask that question and then that answer is going to flow in. You want to play again? Because Saba can go in like this. So watch
Oh,
her.
I know. I'm like,
gonna close her eyes.
I'm like the party trick.
Yeah. So she's just going to close her eyes and I'm going to pretend Saba's given me a list of questions and she's going to show you how quickly she can access these answers because she doesn't know what I'm going to ask. but she can quickly access these answers because she's used to going into that higher self now, because she's got to do it so many times through this line of work, and it's a beautiful thing. So when you're there in your session, I say, okay, so may I speak to Saba's higher self?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And can I ask questions?
Yes.
Thank you. It's our imagination and it's our first thoughts that come in. So what was that experience like for you?
Really interesting.
Because you didn't know what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very interesting. That's all I can say. Very interesting.
So what was that experience like when the answer came in? Like, what
Oh,
did you find yourself doing?
it's completely just the first thing that comes to your mind, the very first thing that comes, it's that intuition, that feeling, and not second guessing it. And that's what it felt like for me when I'm answering the questions that I didn't even know you were going to ask. Um, I resisted at first because I'm like, oh my gosh, she just asked that question. So then
Tracie has no boundary.
I'm like, because I was gonna say before we did this, nothing personal, Tracie. so so then when you asked that question, I was like, okay, let's just see. But yeah, it is so important just to like you said, I'm a great example to put under right now, because I can go in very easily. I want to bring up a story actually. As practitioners, we always love to go in and to really remind us also of the experience where our clients are going through day in day out when we do these sessions. So we love to also receive sessions. And so recently I had a session, and it had been a bit of time since I've had one. So recently I had one, and I went under, and I thought, I did such a funny thing, what we tell our clients not to do, like to guess, are we under? That
Yeah,
question, like,
I am.
am I under? And I thought, I kind of gave my hand a slap on the wrist and said, what? Like, that's what we tell our clients not to do. And so I just took like a couple of deep breaths, and I let that doubt step aside, and boom, I was right in this life. Now, mind you, I don't see my sessions, I feel them. Okay. And so it's a complete intuition of like what's going on. But I knew there was like 5 men standing there. I was a young 20-some-year-old male, and I was going through some stress because I was being accused of something that I didn't do. And for 18 months, they accused me of something that I didn't do. So I felt that emotion. I was completely immersed in it, but I had to turn that corner where I just kind of said, wait a minute. Cause I remember just distinctively going like, am I under? Like, what's happening? And then I turned that corner, and boom, I got all of that information.
Yeah.
So it's so important to just go with the very first thing that comes to mind. But some people are looking for a session to maybe look like one on YouTube, or to look at one that's maybe in someone's book.
Yeah.
Um, that's just not a good comparison on all sessions, because they're all so unique. They're so beautiful. I had a young woman that flew in, very excited to do a session from another country. I mean, really invested all this time and money, and really excited. And I said to her, now remember, no matter what you see, you don't give up. You keep going with it. Okay.
Yeah.
You just keep going with it. And do you know, she saw darkness.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yes. And we kept working with it. We asked questions with a subconscious. And towards the end is where all of the information came in. And I mean, she was completely having such an emotional experience because all the answers just flooded her mind. And she was like, oh my gosh. And I said to her, I am so happy you didn't give up and you
Yeah.
kept going with it and you trust yourself. She goes, Saba, I remember you telling me, don't give up and keep going with it. And she got her answers. Now, was it an answer? Now, check this out. It wasn't an answer when I was asking the subconscious. It actually wasn't her answering me. Okay. She was just kind of
Okay.
like blank. towards the end of the session, when I was counting her out, she had a complete download. And
Oh,
then
wow.
yes, she got all her answers right then and there. And
Wow.
so that was so fabulous. That was such a testimony to, really embrace whatever the emotion is that you're experiencing in your session, because you really don't know where you just don't know where and how, because they're
Right.
all so unique. I mean, sometimes people in darkness because they're in a dungeon. That's their past life,
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know what the darkness is till we explore it.
or
And
space.
yeah, that's so true. And we each one is like a fingerprint. So what a wonderful statement to say, go watch the sessions online. There's a lot of them, but don't come in expecting yours to look just like somebody else's. And I've had that too, where I literally had that conversation with a client and said, okay, now I know you've watched a lot of the videos online. Now I want you to let go of all those expectations and attachments to what those look like. And I went through you're going to be very aware. You're not knocking out, and I'm going to tell you what happened later. I went through all of it. And at the end of it, and she had a good session. And then at the end of it, when we're talking afterwards, she goes, that's really weird. I really thought I was just going to knock out and you were going to tell me what happened afterwards. I feel like I was really awake for this. And I'm like, what happened here? I told you that. So even when we come in and we tell our clients that, her attachment was so strong to having it look like one that she watched on YouTube, that she wasn't hearing anything I said. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. You're taking it away from yourself, because each experience is going to be individual. And I've had people where I had this one where their past life, they were a farmer in a very peasanty kind of time frame, and they lived alone in this house. And every time we move forward, they were still this farmer, just older. It was like they lived the same day over and over again. They worked in the garden. They made a soup. They didn't really have family. They didn't have people knew who they were, but they lived alone. They were kind of isolated all the way through that entire life. They were isolated. It was very boring. It was like, this is okay. What happens next? I'm working in the garden. Now what? I'm making dinner. Now what? Going to bed. Now what? What happens next? I get up the next day and I work in the garden, or, and it was like this repetitive thing. And I'm thinking, okay, what is this person getting out of this lifetime? We get to that point, right, where we ask, because last day they died alone in the house, and it was a couple of days before anybody even found them, kind of thing. Why did this happen? Well, this person in this lifetime now, and the one they're in, surround themselves with people all the time, and they have a great fear of being alone. And
Mm.
so they were shown the lifetime where that fear came from. And so they were able to clear that. And so what happens when you are afraid to be alone? You let people take advantage of you, let people walk on you, you let people, it's like you're always trying to accommodate people. You want everyone to like you. And so they were getting exhausted, and their physical body was showing signs of illness from being overextended and trying to make everybody else happy. And they weren't focusing on loving themselves and helping themselves. And so they needed to see where that fear of being alone came from, so that they could let go of trying to accommodate everybody else in their life, that they were lovable just as they are. And the more that they can love themselves, the more that others will come in with that same love and reciprocation for them. So it was actually this most powerful and profound lifetime, even though going through it was like, okay, what happens now? And it's like, it's the digging potatoes that Dolores talks about, right? But yet it had this huge impact in this person's life. So we never know. And so if you're not going under and having a galactic experience, or finding out that you were a ruler in Lemuria, or, one of these fantastical lives, and you were the peasant that was digging the ditches, that, putting in the new sewer septic lines of the city, whatever, something that's like, ooh, who wants that job? It's okay, because that job was something, and it means something for what you're going through now. And that's why Spirit's showing it to you. So come with an open mind, leave all those expectations at the door, have your own personal experience, whether it's grand in your mind or it's very simple, it's going to be huge for something you needed to learn, somewhere you needed to grow in your life. So,
Right.
yeah.
And also I want to add to that on the subconscious portion or the higher self or the oversoul goes by many different names. There's one thing I also want to bring up because you brought up some really amazing points. I want to bring up on that portion where there's questions that we get. They're so amazing. Like you said earlier, what's my life purpose? Or who are my parents to me? And then the subconscious will say sometimes, oh, they chose their parents for that experience because that was part of their journey in this lifetime. And then the client gets up and they're like, oh yeah, but I know that. It's like, yeah, because it's you.
Yeah,
Like, did you want the subconscious to lie?
exactly. And that happens a lot too. You make the appointment, right? And then you get this assignment. Go. For me, I send an email to my clients that say, can you write up 12 questions? I personally limit it to 12, try to get it in that ballpark because we want to evolve those 12 questions. It's not as simple as ask the question, get a yes or no. It's like, why? Why is this happening? What's the health issue for? What's the message there? Well, there's a whole bunch more questions that Saba and I will ask you, and all your practitioners out there will ask you as we evolve this question for you.
Yeah. I actually do also have a limit. Are you there? I think you got frozen. Uh-oh, Tracie. Hopefully she'll come back. Um, let's see.
Okay, so you lost me and now I'm back.
She jumped in another dimension, y'all.
I had to leave for a minute.
She just cooked dinner right now and like in a
Yeah.
little break.
Yeah, I was passing time in another dimension. But we were talking about when people write their questions out, right? And so what happens is you make the appointment and spirit says, okay, well, let's start working now. Let's get you ready for this appointment. So when you're writing those questions out, you're already in conversation. So what I tell people is you wrote these questions out. You probably already got the answers coming in when you were writing the question. So if that's the same answer that comes in when you're under, please say that answer, because you don't know the next question I'm going to ask. And that might be the question that leads you to a deeper understanding of why that's your answer.
Right.
So it's very important that, yeah, you probably do already have all the answers. They probably all came in while you were writing the questions. You spend a lot of time on this. Spirits start working on you the moment you clicked on the button to say, I want to schedule this appointment. And, that's when your session began, is the moment you booked it. So
I agree that it begins the moment you make that agreement, both of you guys, meaning
yeah,
practitioner and client. I've had clients say, "Oh my gosh, ever since I've booked and been waiting to see you, I was like crying or was just having this emotional release the last couple days or last night. It was unbelievable." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's, it really it's quantum healing hypnosis, quantum for a reason." Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all those things, as you're preparing for the session, you're looking at what do I want to learn from this and experience from this session? You set your intentions, but at the same time, let it be what it's going to be and see what comes in for you, because sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. And the higher self will bring something in that makes us go, what? Oh, but that makes so much sense. And so
Right.
get out of the way and just let it flow in that natural way. It's going to
Mhm.
be beautiful.
The other part I want to bring up too is the interview portion, which is the beginning part of the portion where we do the discovery portion. Super important. I mean, at your comfort level, to share whatever information you want to share and just step into the flow of letting the information come to you. Really important to set the pace for the session because there's information you will be sharing in that portion of the session that's going to assist you when it's the past life and in the portion where you contact the higher self. because believe it or not, it's all connected. So I ask
Yeah.
people to really step into flow and just kind of speak their mind and speak whatever comes to mind. And the interesting thing is people will say, "Oh my God, this is so weird, Saba. I'm like literally remembering something when I was 5 years old. Like, how am I thinking about this right now?" I'm like, "Oh my God, you are doing this is A+ because you're stepping into accepting and flowing with the information as it comes to you." And sure enough, during session, that actually may come up,
Yeah.
that memory that just popped in. So it's really important to just step into the flow and not have this idea of like, oh, XYZ had a session and theirs was like this. And I saw it in a book and it was like that, just
Yeah. And it was so
understand it.
profound. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so unique. The other thing is, as we probably wrap up here, is as a practitioner, we're trained, us practitioners are trained to look for cues that tell us if our client is under. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trained, and that's the whole purpose of the amazing school of Dolores Cannon that we go to, is to really look for the information. So again, very important, you will feel that you're aware. And we're trained to look for the cues to tell us that no, they're under. Okay.
Hmm.
It's just a matter, it's that close. It's that close of just like letting the body go and just stepping in,
Yeah.
being free and saying, okay, the very first thing that comes to my mind, I'm going to talk a lot and I'm going to trust the very first thing and trust it. And these are the three main.
Trust that you're under. Trust that you are in hypnosis.
Yeah.
We know by the way you're responding to us if you're not. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. I mean, because we're in the energy so much also as practitioners, like we can actually like feel it too. I mean, I don't know about you, but I actually can
Oh yeah.
see my clients. Oh my God. I don't know if this happens to you, Tracy, when they're in a past life, I can see the past life.
Before they
And
say it.
yes. And then they're like, oh yeah, there's a bench. And I'm thinking in my mind, but there's a woman sitting next to the bench on the other side of the bench. They're not mentioning that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
What
like,
about the
I
woman?
I
Yeah.
see that person. You're like, I can see their past life too while they're in it. But of course, we
Yeah.
can't lead them. They
No.
have to let us know what
No,
they're
but you can ask a question. Is there anyone else around there?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um,
So it's very helpful when you're tapped in like that, I think, because it helps us to know what question to ask next if we're seeing something similar to what you're describing. Yeah. That's a
absolutely.
beautiful gift to be able to tap in like that, Saba. Um,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, I've had that too, where they're talking to me um about the scenario and I'm sitting there seeing something and then they'll say it and then it's like, oh, that's weird. I just saw that in my head. And then or I'll get, you know, I'll read one of their questions and I hear an answer and then they say the exact same thing. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool when that happens.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm hearing the same thing they're saying out loud. And but yeah,
Oh,
it's,
that's
and you
amazing.
know, here's another thing. Trust your subconscious mind. It's only going to give you what you can handle. Like I had somebody that didn't believe in past lives and for some reason booked an appointment. She didn't really understand what she booked, but I asked her, do you want me to take you through this? This is what you booked. And she's like, oh, well, yeah, you can try, but I don't know that I've had any past lives. She starts off, well, I'm getting off this train. I'm wearing boots and a long skirt, and I have a hat, and I've got some luggage, and I'm walking down this dirt pathway through this town. And then you could hear it in her voice when she realized, well, this isn't current time. It's like you could hear her start to question, hey, wait a minute, this is like the Old West. She's describing
Oh,
it and I can sit in my head with her while she's talking about it and she's walking through this experience and she's in this dusty old town and she's looking around, there's people standing around at the storefronts and all the things, and then pretty soon she's like, okay, and now I'm seeing my friends, and she starts picking current friends out and putting them in the scenario. Her subconscious realizes that she's not able to receive this past life, like it was to interfere. So they took her from that and put her in a current town, like something more modern. And she played it out in something that she was familiar with and finished that whole lifetime, only she did it through a current life story. So her head, so that she wouldn't get in her way. I don't even know if I can describe it. So she went from this Western town to being in the city with her girlfriends, and they all went and did these things. And those things didn't actually happen to her in this current lifetime, but she went with the story that was being unfolded. And I'm like, okay, so all of this actually happened in that old West town, but her mind wasn't able to conceptualize it because she didn't believe in it. So the SC worked with what she did believe in and brought it forward for in a current frame. And I just was so amazed by that, because this gal just, she didn't believe in this stuff. She was Jehovah's Witness, and she come in, I'm like, how is it that you're here? How did you find me?
Higher self.
But yet it was one of my favorite sessions because of what happened in it, and seeing how the SC takes care of us. So they will use metaphor. If you can't handle the story, they'll use a metaphor, and you'll see objects and things, and like,
Or colors. I
or
love
colors, or
sessions with colors.
cartoons. Yeah.
Oh, I love color sessions where they go into past life and they're like in this color. And I've had the most profound healing sessions my clients have received when they're in this color, and they're
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, the colors. It's just, now it's blue. And then that color travels through their body and does
Yeah.
a body scan. And like, poof, my client's knee pain that they've had for 10 years is gone, or pain in the neck, trouble in their marriage. Like, they're so powerful. But if they came in saying, well, I want to see a past life, like something in the Western or somewhere in Cairo, and what they got were colors. And as practitioners, we understand how powerful the
Mhm.
sessions are, whether it's color or not. And they're amazing.
Oh
The other
yeah.
thing is, what about the sessions like me? When I go under, a lot of times I don't see past lives. I go straight to SC. Have you
Mhm.
had a lot of those with clients?
I've had some of those, yeah, and it's amazing because it always seems like they want to spend more time on the questions, and so they bring them into this point where and there's always something that indicates to you as they're talking that, oh, we're talking to that SC, we're talking to like I've had one that it said, when I'm asking, well, who am I speaking with, because their voice changed, and they said, well, I'm their higher self, or I'm this version, and I'm the place they go to find their answers. Well, now we know where we need to be for this list of questions beside
Well,
us.
one thing I want to put a note in there, though, your voice does not have to change when SC is there.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Very clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're thinking you're in a past life and this other
Mm.
voice comes through, it's like, oh, who am I speaking with now? The way they're talking changed in this particular session. And this person, they did their 12 questions. So I thought, well, okay, so you're the place that they go if they want their answers. Is this where a good place for me to ask the questions? Absolutely. So I started asking the questions, thinking, how am I going to do this? Because we didn't get to go into the past life. Because as practitioners, we want to bring you all the experiences, right?
Yeah.
The SC took two of the questions they had and brought them, two of them were pertaining to past lives. They got two past lives out of that, and a very descriptive past lives out of it in the time frame. And so it took the time that we'd normally spend bringing them through the process, they got everything out of that process. The SC did it. And
Yeah,
I
I
just
love that.
trusted and flowed with it, and was like, okay, well, we ended up getting everything I would have done with you. It was out of order, but this is how it came in. And it ended up being a wonderful session. But yeah, I've had them go straight into that place where it's like, okay, well, this is where we start asking the questions then. And then it always ends up that they want to spend more time evolving the answers for the questions. And so we bypassed the time we would have taken for a past life. And now we have all this time for the questions and the healing and what they needed to learn from that. And so, yeah, it's happened. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
Oh, it doesn't happen a lot. I agree. Sometimes it just evolves that way, and so important to just flow with it. Some people I've had, yeah, like I said, that didn't need to go into the past life that way. They had the past life described to them in the subconscious portion and the higher
Yeah.
self portion. And it was just like, oh no, it was because of a past life. Um, when XYZ was in their life and they were a nun, and and the subconscious will explain it in that manner, because that's just the uniqueness of these sessions that you just really never know. That's the exciting part. Us as practitioners, like, we can totally feel that wisdom when it's coming through. And so our wish always is for the client to understand that that was higher self, and that was some really profound, deep wisdom. And yeah, you did know some of it because you're a wise person and you've
Yeah.
integrated your higher self so beautifully. But like, trust it. Oh my God. My sessions, I've probably had 20, I don't know, and they keep giving, because I'll just kind of pick up a session, listen to it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so beautiful.
You mean 20 for yourself?
Yes, I've
Yeah.
received like oh, no, I haven't
Like,
done 20.
Saba, you've done more than 20 sections.
No, I'm talking about, like,
Yeah.
as a client, like, I'm sorry, as a receiving a session, I've probably received like 20, maybe more,
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm just like, "Oh my God, these sessions keep giving," because I step into trust. But if I start, like, trying to analyze and pick it and be like, "Well, I do know that," it's like,
Or
you
try to direct it. Like, I want this, I want to go here, or I want to do this. Don't try to direct it. Just let it be in the flow.
Right, right. But I
Yeah.
think that's, and I think that's part of the process for the client. Like I said, I myself went under and I was like, am I under? And I was like, did I just really ask that question? And I had to just let go. And the
Yeah.
moment I let go and trust it, it's fine. But, some people are looking for this, what's the word I'm looking for? This fireworks and these explosions and these, oh my God, and the, oh, kind of voice, they're subconscious to be. But sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not an indicator of them accessing it a certain way. It's just different for everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's different. I'm losing you
So
again.
I'm freezing up again.
I
Did
see
I
that.
freeze up?
I was like, I think she's breaking up here.
Yeah. Maybe this is our sign to wrap it up.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Guys,
Maybe that's our cue.
yeah, absolutely. I do want to finish it with this. When you are booking a session, definitely choose a practitioner that you resonate with. Really step into a place of flowing with your questions when you get prepared. As practitioners, we're so excited for you to come through that door to get to that experience. Really important to trust and go with the very first thing that comes to your mind, and to talk a lot during the session, and kind of get that thinking mind out of the way. Any other helpful hints you want to share with us before we part ways?
I think that was the best advice. Yeah. Just the best thing. Just let all those preconceived ideas at the door, all the attachments at the door, come in and have an experience that's
Have a
designed for you.
good time.
Yeah, have a good time. That's what I say. We're going to have the best time. We're going to do a lot of healing. We're going to let go of a lot of things. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to just see a lot of things. So that would be our wish for you, is that you just come, breathe, relax, come in and just have your experiences. It's a beautiful thing.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. I will leave Tracie's information below. If you're interested to know more about what wonderful work she's doing, you will have her info on the bottom. And thank you so much for listening. Take
Well,
care.
one more
Yes.
thing. I'm from Oregon. Saba's from Florida, if that helps you guys, because I know we're reaching a pretty wide audience. These sessions are in person only. So that is why I was giving our locations. So I'm just outside of Portland, Oregon, and you're just outside of Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yeah.
So, all
Yeah.
right, you guys, now you have our locations in case you want a destination session, right?
Session.
So,
Exactly. All right. Cool.
all
Thank you.
right, bye everyone.
Bye.